So we've had Flex Appeal Gym on the show before and learned about a number of things that make them truly unique.
Well, we already knew that they're all about convenience, allowing people to work out 24 hours a day, but now they're taking convenience to a whole other level with some new programs that will save some people, hopefully a trip to the hospital, save them money. Joining us to share all the details is physical therapist Dr. Sarah Zigley. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Good morning.
First of all, Flex Appeal is a different kind of gym, right? So for people that may not be familiar with it, why is it so unique?
As you mentioned, Flex Appeal is one of the gym models that allows people access anytime that works for them, which is something that isn't necessarily always the case. So people who are members of Flex Appeal can come in 24 hours a day on their own schedule and work out how and when they want to. They also are locally owned and are that boutique feel. So it's not a big box type gym. It's a neighborhood gym that offers things for people from classes to therapies, personal training, a little bit of everything, but done with that local vibe and a little bit of the flexibility that comes along with that as well.
And why do you find it important to offer the physical therapy and runners clinic there?
Yeah, it was a really good fit. So as I mentioned, that Flex Appeal is a boutique gym, and I worked for a long time in corporate healthcare as a sports medicine physical therapist and runners clinic physical therapist. And I found that, especially with COVID and all of the changes that we've seen in healthcare, there was really a need for people to seek treatment and get access to their healthcare in a new way. So at that time, I decided that boutique physical therapy was also something that I wanted to offer people. So Flex Appeal was a really natural pair for that because they have that same model of being there for your clients first and not necessarily for corporate first. So it's important for us to offer it this way because it allows people a new way into healthcare. So you don't necessarily have to go to a doctor first. You can know that you need treatment, and you can start by coming right to the experts and do it that way. My expertise is in runners clinic and orthopedic care. So I work with a lot of runners who are training for races or are deciding that they just want to get into running, and I can help answer a lot of the questions and get them through some of the challenges that come along with pushing your body in that way.
You know, and speaking of races, a big one's coming up, the Urban Bourbon Half Marathon coming up October the 16th. What do you have offered there to help runners prepare, and is it too late?
So that's a great question. This tends to be the time in people's training programs where their bodies oftentimes will start to fight back a little with the extra mileage that they're putting on. And it's usually very challenging for runners to try and decipher the difference between how much pain is too much and am I doing myself long-term damage, or can I continue to go on? So one of the things that I really enjoy doing and can help people with is to navigate that question of, should I keep going, and how can I get to that race day without causing myself long-term problems, and to keep running even through that. So we're working up to the peak mileage for those races before we start to taper down. And this is a time where a lot of people get aches and pains, and I can help to either treat those aches and pains or to answer the questions about whether the things they're feeling are normal.
Sarah, I'm glad to hear that. That's where my body is right now. It's fighting me back on where I am with my mileage. Yeah, it really is.
Yes.
So how can having PT save you money in the long run?
So that's a really interesting question because I think it's something people don't necessarily anticipate right off the bat. And there's a few ways that can happen. One of them is by the direct access into the system. So if people come straight to a physical therapist, you can save yourself the co-pays of having to see a physician first, who are ultimately going to refer them to a musculoskeletal expert, which is your physical therapist. So oftentimes you can kind of skip the middleman and you can go right to your PT. And as physical therapists, we're trained to treat the musculoskeletal system, but we're also trained to identify things that don't fall within our scope. So if it is something that needs to have a physician intervention, our job is to help then get the client to the right provider. So that's one way. And also in the boutique physical therapy world, we often do private pay services. So at this time of year is the the fiscal year for healthcare starts to wind down, a lot of people have HSA money or FSA money still available. And those are funds that HSA not so much, but FSA will expire. And those can be used on the cash-based side for private pay physical therapy services. And people with higher deductibles, oftentimes those deductibles can be up to a few $1,000s. By doing cash pay for direct physical therapy, you only have to pay the direct cost of your care and not all of the insurance inflation that goes along with seeking care through a primary clinic. So by doing private pay boutique physical therapy, you just pay for the direct care that you receive and that you need, and not necessarily all the inflation that goes along with that, which can be about a quarter of the price, which
Wow,
is
that
something
makes,
people don't necessarily think about.
that makes perfect sense. Sarah, thank you so much. We'll mention Flex Appeal is located at 946 Goss Avenue in Louisville. And to learn more, just visit flexlu.com.